Hello. So, the Sega Master System, or the SG-1000, or whatever you want to call it, Sega Mark III, has turned 40 years old. Bloody hell, if ever there was anything to make you feel old. 40 years that's been about. Absolutely crazy. Now, I've seen many videos of fellow YouTubers in the community putting it out, videos out there with all the technical specs and dates and release dates and what this, that and the other. I'm not going to do that. I've seen a lot of people putting out their memories of back in the 90s, fond memories of the Sega Master System, experiencing the Sega Master System back in the day, in the late 80s, early 90s, and the fun they had. And I'm not really going to do that either. Because way back in the 90s, I did have a Master System. And it was a Mark I Master System console. And I had a grand total of one game for the Master System back in the 90s. I've mentioned it throughout my gaming history on YouTube in the past. But the one game I had, and I reluctantly got this game, way back when I was after this game, and it's an arcade adaptation, and everyone was raving on about this game and that you could play it as a home port, and it was really good, and it was so involving, so violent, and it was the ultimate in two-player battle games. Now, by this time, I started off with a NES. As you can tell, I've got a fair NES collection. I started off as a NES kid. Not a Master System kid, but a NES kid. And then I got a Mega Drive. And when this game was released, I so wanted it for the Mega Drive. I really did. And I was so hyped and pumped to get it on the Mega Drive. And I said to my mate at the local game store, second-hand shop, because I'd already been treated to more than enough. I think I'd had new trainers and new game and whatnot, and kind of there comes a point where, you know, I had to wait till the next birthday or Christmas to get this particular game from mum and dad. So it was a case of I needed to source this game somehow. And no one at school, hardly anyone actually had the game anyway, but no one was going to let it up and trade it. So I put the feelers out at Roy's, Melodies, and the local Aladdin's Cave store. As soon as you get this game in, I need it. Roy, my old mucker, I need it. I've got to have it. I'll make it, you know, I'll make it worth your while. I'll trade loads of games in for this game. I have to have it. It was the fear of missing out before that was such a thing. And one day, week or two later, went in there and he's like, I put something by for you. And I'm thinking, yes, you beauty. We're going to have it on the Mega Drive. And he went, but there is a little issue with that. And I'm like, what? If it's unboxed, I don't care. I just need it. And he said, well, you know you wanted it on the Mega Drive. Well, I've got it on the Master System. And I went, but I ain't got a Master System. He went, I've got one of them too. So, in a roundabout's way, I got Mortal Kombat and a unboxed Master System Mark I back in the 90s just to play this game. I was so hyped, pumped, and looking forward to playing it on a home console. I didn't care what it was on. At the time, I was just like, I'm having it, I'll have it. Let me go and get you some trades. What we talking? And that, back then, memory was bang on. So I was like, well, I can get that game, and that game. And I put a few quid in. Happy days. On my bike, got home, grabbed the bits, got back down there before closing. And that struck the deal. And I had my first Master System console. And I absolutely loved it. I completely looked past the fact that it wasn't as good as a Mega Drive version, and it was never going to be, but it was an absolutely quality game. And to be fair, the port on the Master System is really good. Eventually, I got a Mega Drive version, and the Master System soon went, and I didn't even know, this is how much, I didn't even know there was a built-in game for the Master System. And I don't even know what it was on that console. It could have been the Maze game, or it could have been a built-in hang-on, or it could have been anything, but I just don't know what it was. All I wanted to play was Mortal Kombat, and then that went eventually. And I had no interest in playing Master System games. I was all about the Mega Drive by then. All my NES collection had sort of been traded and put towards Mega Drive games. That's what it was all about. But little did I know, I was so into the Mega Drive that I also had a Game Gear. And I loved my Game Gear. Proper loved my Game Gear. And really, the Game Gear was, and always is, a portable Master System. Because it's the Master System games that were on the Game Gear. And that thing, I absolutely loved it. For years. Absolutely loved it. So, as time went on, I'm trying to put this somewhere, and I'm going to knock it over. As time went on, many moons down the line, I started to get into retro collecting. All consoles. The only console I had was an Xbox 360 and the OG Xbox. Around 2006, 7, something like that. And I started hoovering up. I got into retro. And I started hoovering up everything. Sega, Nintendo, PlayStation, anything. Got really into retro collecting. And I had no interest in getting Sega Master System stuff. Apart from the fact, it was dirt cheap. Always so cheap. The Master System games in comparison to Mega Drive games, and they were bloody cheap. I remember going in Roy's sort of late noughties and picking up Mega Drive games for like £4 each. I'd walk out of there with, and they'd do me a deal on 10 games for 40 quid or so. Absolute Billy bargain, yeah? You don't get that anymore. I had a mate who was a contact. I bought a SNES console, and he based Braintree, and I call him Braintree James. And what really piqued my interest is he was big into collecting way back when, and since then he sold up, and then he's got it all back again, and he's banging into his collecting again now. But he was chasing a full Mega Drive set. Now I was picking up Mega Drive games as and when I could, as much as I could, and the odd Master System games were being added because I got a Mega Drive converter in a box up on a shelf, and I had one of those early days as well. Didn't have a console, but I had the converter, so I thought might as well. And these games were so cheap that I was picking up, and a lot of them are cheap still now. But it was when I see his collection, and really bizarre, he had Billy bookcases scattered around his bedroom, and it was all Mega Drive, Mega Drive, Mega Drive, Mega Drive, and then it was like Master System, Master System, Master. It was just epic to see it all laid out, and I'm like, wow, that's a collection. And that's what kind of spurred me on to really sort of give it a go at getting Master System games. And a fond memory is going round to his one morning, and I was going around there to pick up some games that we'd done a deal with, and I was buying games. He even is now a wheeler and a dealer with games and stuff, and I booked a bit of time to skive off work, nip round to James's, and grab this sort of deal of games. And when I got there, he went, "Oh mate, the postman's just been, come in," and went in, and he was like, "Been waiting for this moment." And I'm like, what was that all about? And he showed me this receipt, and he took it out, and I never used to buy, well, when I used eBay, I never used to buy from abroad or wherever. I used to sort of always go down the eBay route, but local collection, and buy it locally, so I could go and meet the people, hand the cash over, get it done there and then. but he was buying them from all over, really trying to work through his full set collection. And this game, and he showed me the receipt, and it was Smurfs 2. And I'm going back to sort of probably about, I would guess, somewhere around about 2010, 2000, maybe 2010, 2012-ish. And that game was, I see it on the receipt, because it 333 quid. All posted, delivered and done. And I was like, mate, that is mad. And we're going back to a time when Streets of Rage 2 was about an 80 quid game. And I'm like, mate, what are you doing? Have a word with yourself. Give your head a wobble, will ya? 333 quid. But he was like, this is one of the last 2 games that I need. Mate, have a look at this. And I'm like, crowded around him, watching him open it. And it was like a kid at Christmas. And he pulled this game out, and I'm like, mate, you're losing the plot, honestly. But, oh, wow. And it was that, it was so infectious that I just thought, I'm going to give that a go. I'm going to really collect them. As and when I find them cheap, I started researching, and in a retro gamer magazine, they had a feature in there at some stage, and it was like all about Mega Drive and Master System collecting. And one of the months it had a full list of every, and someone had their whole collection featured. And at the end of their collection, it was a list of all the PAL games. And I thought, oh wow, wouldn't it be cool to sort of have a good go at ticking them all off? But little did I know it was going to lead to something, a bit mad. But I thought, I'll give it a go. I ain't going to be spending big money on games. But I thought, they look cool on the shelf. And that was the thing. I collected Master System games because they were cheaper than the Mega Drive. They looked pretty, because when I first had them, I had a Mega Drive sort of shelf unit, Mega Drive games, and then the Master System games all piled up, and I just thought, that looks pretty cool. I had no real interest in playing through the library, no nostalgia at all. As I say, I was a proper NES kid. I loved me Nintendo. Absolutely loved it. But as time went on, lockdown happened, and then something else happened as well. That 8-bit boy UK, him and his Master System challenge. Oh, what a time to be alive, eh? Those that know, every week Ollie would choose a game, and he would just basically lay a challenge out, and it was a high score challenge, or get as far as you can. And I tell you what, it made me completely fall in love with the Master System. Now, before that Master System challenge, I was a NES kid, then Mega Drive. Got loads of Master System because they look pretty cool on the shelf. But I played next to bugger all. It was a case of put the cartridge in, make sure it worked. Yeah, happy days, chuck it on the shelf, jobs are good, and on to the next one. But I really fell in love with the Master System. As a collection, looks pretty cool. I think so anyway. Now, this isn't the whole collection. I've got a unit back to back, the other side, with probably more games because there's less inlays on show. But so I'm actually 3 games short of the full PAL set. And I've got some American American games that weren't released, exclusives to American territory. And I've absolutely loved the Master System. It's everything about it. It's absolutely brilliant. There's so many games and not that expensive. Although I'm well out of touch, as recent chats with my mate Colchester John has sort of enlightened me in that I am so far out of touch with prices nowadays with stuff. Because once it's in the collection, to me, the money doesn't matter. It's in the collection, it ain't going anywhere, it's there to stay. But he's actively, progressively getting towards the full set. So he's, eyes and ears on the prices that stuff's going for, trying to dig out the bargains. But my collection is there I know the 3 games that I need: Buggy Run, Home Alone, Power Strike 2. Mad money. You're looking at a couple of £100 with just box and inlay and cartridge, or 300, 400, £500 if you want them complete and in nice condition. Madness, I tell you. And I collect for so much, so it's hard to justify just ticking one off of that list, but I really do need to focus. But playing these games through the Master System Challenge, there was a good, I would have thought probably around about 15 of us regularly hitting it, going through the Master System Challenge. And I'm bound to leave people out, so I'm not going to name names, but there was a lot of people taking videos of their playthrough, and such fond memories of playing the games, having a chit chat, working my way through, doing my high score. And some weeks it was absolutely abysmal. Some weeks I blasted through and had great fun, plenty of good chats and banter at the time with the ex, and it was just real fond memories, really just great times. And I've got some real highlights, and I could just sit here like reeling off my top 5 games that are just in terms of monetary value. But for me, collecting, it's not about that. Smashing the Vimto in today. But I've got 4 highlight games that I played and I'd not experienced before, and I absolutely fell in love with them. And this is one of them, Fantasy Zone 2. What a cracking game. And I hadn't really ever played this. I remember having it back in the day on the Game Gear, and I've never really been that into shooters. But this game, playing it through the Mega Drive on a Master System converter, playing the high score Sega Master System Challenge, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I put so many hours into that, and I've been back to it many a time since. I also used to play it on an emulated Xbox, but it just wasn't the same. I had to be using, well, you always used the Mega Drive control pad, and played it through how it should be played. But what a great game. Really cool. Super, well, it ain't even Super Fantasy Zone. I see that on the shelf. Super Fantasy Zone. And usually I'd say it pales in comparison to the Mega Drive version, but it holds up really well. It's just something about it. It's such a cool game. And I do love the box art on the Master System. Must admit, I do prefer the full colour sort of artworks. But Fantasy Zone, yes, what a game. Another highlight, and will always be, I do love me Walk Right and Fight games, and Streets of Rage. Now, I don't mind Streets of Rage 2 on the Master System, but for me, it's this. I had this on the Game Gear, and it's the same, I believe it's the exact same port. What a game. Absolutely brilliant. It's very tight, and, you know, they did so well with it on the Master System. Absolutely brilliant. 8 rounds of pure pleasure. I mean, even down to the box art, used to tell you sort of what controller you needed, how many players, how many levels, got your screenshots. That's what it is. It's an action title. Just fantastic. And I do love the full colour. I mean, seeing John's at the weekend, seeing John's collection, the way he laid it out, I'm always one to do my collection in alphabetical order. And it just, seeing his collection mess with my mind. And I had to, within no time at all, get some new shelf units and set it out so that it's like the more colourful ones are all kept together with the side artwork. Love it. And as soon as I come round in here, that's the first thing I see, and I'm like, yes, that looks so nice. I'm happy with that. That to me is a big part of collecting. Not always playing the games, just, you know, getting in amongst it, drinking it all in. And this game is, wow, what a game. and it should be on everyone's list. It's not an expensive game as far as I remember, but this really mixed things up for me. This was a driving game, and then a flying shooting game, and this was proper. It is a proper game. Action fighter. Now, what's going on with that box art? Well, I never. But what a great game. Many an hour lost to this. Honestly. Really cool title. So, Action Fighter. Again, another top one. But for me, on the Master System, there will always be one favourite game above all else, and this game is actually, in my opinion, better than the arcade. And I kept trying to dabble between the Master System version and the arcade version, because I had both on an emulation on an original Xbox, and it for me, the Master System version wins hands down all day long. And I have got nostalgia. I've got nostalgia for the arcade version, because there was an arcade cabinet down the local, I think it was Magic City, or it was in the Gaiety, or it's in one of them, but they had like a multi-cab, no real sort of artwork on it, and it was Wonder Boy. And playing that game, it just takes me back, honestly, really does. But Wonder Boy, and I got this game really quite early on in my collecting, and I'm just so fond of it that in theory, I could upgrade it, get it ever so slightly better condition, but I'm keeping this one. And this game is absolutely awesome. If you've not played it, you really got to get in amongst it. The music, the replayability, I mean, for me, it's mega tough as well. I had this back on the Game Gear back in the day, and it just blew my mind back then of how they fitted an arcade game onto a Game Gear cartridge. But this game, honestly, we completed it. Oh, and it took us a whole day to complete it, but we completed it, and for a few weeks, honestly, that music was ringing in my head for a couple of weeks. Honestly, I was at work and I'd be sitting there going, it was almost traumatizing. It really was. What a game. And if you need any reassurance that Wonder Boy is worth playing, go and check out Retro Red Stevie Babes. He'll tell you all about Wonder Boys. But for me, this is where it's at. I'm not a great lover of like all the other ones, the Dragon's Trap and all that. They're good, and they do push the hardware really well. But this is, that's where it is. Side-scrolling, platforming at its best. The atmosphere, the playability. When you get that skateboard and you hold back and you jump and yeah. Bring it on. I want to go and play it now. So yeah, in terms of nostalgia for the Master System, I've only got one bit of nostalgia, and that's Mortal Kombat. But it's a great game. But memories, I've got some cracking memories, and they're always going to stay with me. The Master System, and doing 8-Bit Boy UK's Master System Challenge, getting in amongst that, getting involved in that. Used to so look forward to, got to look out for what the game is the weekend. Master System Challenge time. So a big thank you to Ollie. He has put out a video on this about, it being 40 years old. He's also put out videos in the past on his full set collecting, and also now recently he's just ticked off the full set for the Sega Mark III, and such cool box art, and it just bizarre packaging. I do collect a few consoles, the Japanese games. I'm not going to delve deep into Mark III collecting. That's for the big boys in the Master System collecting world, but just great to see. So honestly, if you've got the opportunity, whether you need to emulate or however you do it, get in amongst Master System games, because it's a great system. Technically, I reckon it's probably superior to the NES, although the library is a lot less in terms of overall, and I include the American games as well. But I mean, it's each to their own, but it's definitely up there. It's such a capable, great system. And as my mate John has mentioned, probably a third of the set can be had for very little money. The entry fee for a lot of the games is just crazy cheap. So it's well worth doing, well worth checking out. Great system. And for me, it'll always go down as one of my favourites, you know. I've now got loads of consoles. I've got probably, I think it was six or eight. I think at least six different console variants, including my absolute beauty beast Mark 1 console, which is the Super Set, which has got the 3D glasses and the Mark 1 console, and it's an absolute beautiful system, all boxed, decent condition. Then I've also got things like, I mean, how they did that, Alex Kidd built in, Miracle World, what a great game, absolutely brilliant. And then Sonic the Hedgehog, what a system. Anyway, right, I need to go and have some grub. So thanks for watching. Sorry for boring you, but I had to give a mention and a shout out to the Sega Master System, 40 years old. Jeez. Anyway, take it easy, and all the best. Bye-bye.